The pioneering spirit is nothing new to agriculture, as innovation has made farming in America the most productive and technologically advanced in the world. Yet, tomorrow will present a new set of challenges that'll require new ideas, inventions, and innovations. That is what Farm Next is all about, showing you the future of farming. From autonomous robots to cutting-edge digital tools to better ways to fertilize your crops and increase soil health, this program will give you a glimpse of the exciting future agriculture has in store. Stay tuned to see what's next on Farm Next. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the special edition of Farm Next. I'm Max Armstrong, thrilled to be a part of giving you a front row seat into what's next in the world of agriculture. Over the past few weeks on this program, we've had the opportunity to visit with 10 entrepreneurs and inventors to learn about some of the exciting new technologies and innovations that'll bring forward the future of agriculture. In each episode, we saw these cutting-edge innovations in action out in the field. And then we visited with the brilliant minds behind each idea in our studio. Each participant then presented their ideas to leaders in capital investment, agribusiness, and farming to take it through its paces. In this special hour-long episode, we'll showcase all 10 companies that'll be appearing at the Farm Progress Show in Boone, Iowa in just a few weeks. And you, our audience, can vote live during the show whether you think each idea has what it takes by going to farmnext.com. And there you can enter to win a VIP package to the Farm Progress Show, which will be held in Boone, Iowa, coming up August 30th through September 1st. Again, that's farmnext.com for a chance to win a VIP package to the Farm Progress Show. And of course, plan to stop by the Farm Next Innovation Tent. That'll be right behind the Pivot Bio exhibit at the Farm Progress Show. There you'll get a chance to meet all of the innovators, the folks we've featured this season, and learn more about their new technologies. Later in today's program, I'll interview Pivot Bio CEO Karsten Temme to talk about his experience being a panelist on our show. Up next on Farm Next is our first innovator, Clear Flame. They're a startup that has developed a way to run diesel engines on ethanol. Stay tuned to learn more about this exciting new company after these brief messages.
We're going around talking to all the farmers in Iowa because we're trying to build the ultimate farm truck.
Gosh, cab dude!
Yeah, in your cab.
There are over 2 million farmers in the United States. One of them is about to win some cash for their local FFA chapter.
I don't know that the public knows what they want out of sustainability.
If they're asking us to grow cover crops and to plant non-GMO, our expenses are going to go up. Yields are going to go down. At that point, we're not sustainable.
All right, so when you think of Wisconsin, what do you think of? Aside for beer and cheese and people wearing cheese while drinking beer.
You have to have nitrogen.
It's really a microcosm of one of the biggest questions that we face. Can we feed the world and save the world?
Visit pivotbio.com/originals to see these shows and more.
Unscripted, unfiltered, unapologetic.
It's a suburban mom and having to satisfy that suburban mom on social media.
Diner stops and real talk. The voice of farmers, not politicians or promise makers. Just honest conversation about agriculture's biggest issues. Nothing is off limits.
Well, have you ever seen a GMO peanut?
How about organic tuna?
Organic tuna. That's a good one.
This is The Farmer's Table, an original series from Pivot Bio.
Welcome back to Farm Next, the show that gives you a front row seat into what's next in the world of agriculture. The first company in our special edition episode of Farm Next is Clear Flame. That's a startup that has developed a way to convert diesel engines to run on ethanol. Here's a short video from the field about that company.
Farmers are critical to the 17 billion gallons of ethanol that we produce in this country every year. Right now, they have no way to use that fuel in the trucks that move their goods around or in the tractors and combines that plant and harvest their crop. With ClearFlame, they can do all of those things with a fuel that they are a critical part of the production chain in.
ClearFlame's technology is a set of modifications that can be made to existing diesel engine designs to let them run on 100% plant-based ethanol fuel, straight from the ethanol plant.
The heart of the process is a high-temperature combustion system. Basically, we tweak out things like fuel injectors, air handling, and exhaust to make the entire engine operate at an elevated temperature, and you're no longer constrained to use easy-to-ignite fuels like diesel, but you can use something that is traditionally hard to ignite, but also cheaper and cleaner, like ethanol. We really wanted to solve a sustainability problem, and really the fact that there are two sides to the energy problem. There are close to 1 billion people in the world that don't have basic access to electricity, and there are a few things that are more correlated with quality of life than the access to goods that diesel engines provide. So if we're only focused on sustainability, we're only looking at part of the problem. ClearFlame is a way to expand energy access to those that need it or those who can't afford more expensive solutions, but still protect the planet fundamentally from the CO2 emissions that drive climate change.
The trucks behind me run on a clean-burning sustainable fuel. That means they have a lower life cycle carbon impact than an EV today running on the national grid and a lower operating cost than diesel fuel.
A lot of farmers own trucks that they use to move their goods around or contract out to other people in the off-season. We can take that truck, outfit it with our technology, and allow them to switch their fuel tank from diesel to ethanol. Also, in our partnership with John Deere, they're going to be able to get their farm equipment in the future through those same dealership channels they use today.
ClearFlame allows farmers to operate their equipment on the fuel that they're already helping to produce and further contribute to the sustainability of their operations while saving money. There is an independent total cost of ownership study that validates that running on pure ethanol is lower cost than operating on diesel today. So there's incentive both economically as well as for sustainability to adopt a solution like ours. Over the next 5 to 10 years, I hope to see the agriculture community take a leading role in the energy transition. They're well positioned for it and also equipped for that leadership role.
The biggest problem that ClearFlame still has is that people don't know this type of solution is possible, that you can run a diesel engine on ethanol fuel, and that it is a technology that is ready to go today. So being on Farm Next is going to allow more of the world to hear our solution, our story, and get excited about what we're ready to bring to market.
I hope you enjoyed learning about BJ and his company as much as we did when he was here in the studio. His desire to provide new tools to growers was quite clear. You can see the full episode with BJ at farmnext.com. There you can view other episodes of the show as well. Just go to farmnext.com. The next company in our special episode of Farm Next is Corral Technologies. That's a startup based in Nebraska that has developed a wireless fencing system for cattle. This innovative technology allows producers and ranchers to manage their herd right from the palm of their hands. Here's a short video from the field about that company.
Hi, I'm Jack Keating. I'm the CEO and founder of Corral Technologies. The inspiration for Corral Technologies came from my dad and I going out to fix fence one day, and he said, why don't we have invisible fences for dogs but for cows? Within the Corral Technology system, we have a collar and also the software. The collar goes onto the cow, and that collar provides stimulation to keep that cow inside of the boundary and move them from pasture to pasture and get the data for that cow's health. Now the software is where you actually are a majority of the time, viewing where that cow is, drawing your fences, sending move functions, and being able to really manage your operation. What we're enabling is the easy access to rotational grazing for ranchers. Instead of having to go and put up miles of fence, you're now able to draw these cross fences at the touch of a button. From continuous grazing, where your utilization rate was around 35%, we're now able to bump that up to 65% or above, allowing these cows to actually eat more of the grass that's in the pasture. The biggest benefit we provide for ranchers is actually increasing the number of cows they carry per acre. And then there's plenty of other benefits, from gains for your calves to time savings and material savings on the fencing side, to where you're not spending multiple days at a time every year fixing fence and putting in fence. You can now draw that fence at ease and have the peace of mind those cows are going to stay. There's a wide variety of ranchers out there that would benefit from the system, from large-scale producers with over 2,000 head all the way down to smaller-scale ranchers with only 50 cows. from Canada to Ireland to Mexico. We've talked to over 200 producers. They want to use the system. They want to be able to draw these fences, and it's just wonderful to be able to see that. The mission and the value of Corral is to increase ranchers' profits with less work. Being able to take the weight off of their shoulders a little bit, say, okay, now you can draw this fence at the touch of a button instead of spending a day building it and thousands of dollars building it, is really where I view the potential. I'm extremely passionate about agriculture because my family's in it. My family is raising cows and want to help my family live a better life, and hopefully my dad, who just turned 60 last year, he's able to do it for a lot longer because that's his dream. So if I can help him do that for as long as possible and help other ranchers across the world follow their dream, that's what we're trying to accomplish.
What a neat idea, and one that could provide ranchers and cattlemen with a new tool for an old chore. Jack's enthusiasm was quite evident when he was here in the studio with us. He had great answers for all of our panelist questions, and we wish him the best of luck. You can see the full episode with Jack and the other episodes at farmnext.com. The next company in our special edition episode here of Farm Next is CoverCress. It's a startup based in St. Louis that developed a cover crop system, not only improving soil health, but providing another source of income for corn and soybean farmers. Here's a short video from the field about that company.
My name's Dale Sorensen, and I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of CoverCress Incorporated. I'm a South Dakota farm boy originally and have been in agriculture my entire career. This will be my 41st crop season working in agriculture with farmers. The inspiration for CoverCress really started back in 2013 with a couple of gentlemen that were pulling field pennycress samples from across the countryside that really created the first base genetics that could be utilized in breeding and developing a new crop called CoverCress. CoverCress gives you an opportunity to raise a third crop in with corn and soybeans over a 2-year period. This crop actually grows through the entire winter season from fall till spring. And during that winter season, it is developing a root system. It's keeping something alive in that soil during the entire winter months, rather than a brown landscape that you typically see in farm country. With earthworms being able to move in, it's starting to create a home for a host of good things to happen in the soil. Being able to protect that soil surface during those heavier rain periods that can occur in March and April is another big benefit. As you get to the latter part of the season, this crop has the potential to capture close to a ton of carbon per acre during its growth cycle, when most acres in the central United States don't have anything going on. The goal of CoverCress over the next 12 to 24 months is to get a group of farmers starting to raise this in the fall of 2022, and then really start to increase acres in the fall of 2023. We will provide the seed for that farmer to actually seed in the fall months of the year, and then the grain from that crop the following spring when he harvests, we're going to purchase that grain back from that farmer and eventually take that into the poultry industry as a whole grain feed source, and eventually crush for the value add of oil that can be used in biofuels in the future. When you really think about the opportunity that we bring, benefits that we bring, one, there's incremental revenue to the farmer. Two, there's benefits in the soil and carbon capture as you really look at the winter months. Three, we actually have a grain able to be utilized in feeding livestock. And four, we have an oil that comes from this grain that allows you to blend towards biodiesels or aviation fuel, so a renewable resource from a fuel perspective. The reception has just been unbelievably positive. We've got a limited launch this fall with several thousand acres, and we've actually got more farmers interested than we're going to have seed available as we get to this fall.
My, that's an exciting company looking for ways to bring new revenue streams to the farm and benefits to the soil. As you can see, the startups on Farm Next are an impressive and diverse group of entrepreneurs. I want to remind our audience that you can vote live during this show whether you think each idea has what it takes by going to farmnext.com. There you can enter to win a VIP package to the Farm Progress Show coming up in Boone, Iowa, August 30th through September 1st. After these brief messages, we'll introduce our next 3 innovators, so please stay tuned.
Farmers have always taken care of what they value. Through hard work and resilience, they cultivated bountiful land. As the country grew, great revelations led to a green revolution, one that helped feed the world. Then it happened. Fewer hands worked the land, while more lived off it. Yet farmers took on the challenge. They pivoted, improved, and fed a nation hungry for progress. As Americans dialed up, farmers dialed in. Precision on the farm led to yields once thought impossible. But when it came to nitrogen, it wasn't precise or predictable enough. Not for the farmer, the crop, nor the environment. Today, Pivot Bio provides a better way to deliver a more dependable and productive nitrogen in the field, while giving growers a new tool to take care of what matters most. Farmers deserve a nitrogen worthy of who they are and what their land can provide. And now there is one. It's time to turn to a better nitrogen.
Hey, I got an announcement for all of America's farmers. You want to win the ultimate farm truck? You got to sign up right here. And if you do, it could be you that wins it.
Welcome back here to this special edition of Farm Next, the show that gives you a front row seat into what's next in the world of agriculture. Our next company is Crop Zone. Now that's a startup based in Germany that has developed an integrated weed management system using electricity to eliminate weeds. Their electric system is an effective and more sustainable replacement for glyphosate. Here's a short video about the company from the field.
My name is Dirk Vandenhutz. I'm CEO and co-founder of Crop Zone. I have been in the ag industry now for 25 years, and we founded Crop Zone with the aim to develop alternative herbicide treatments. We kill the plant by applying electricity into the plant. The major problem by treating plants with electricity is a resistance which you will find on the top of the leaves. We can bridge that physical resistance with a conductive liquid. By doing so, we can apply the electricity direct into the leaves, and that kills the plant by destroying the chlorophyll and the water uptaking system. We have a sprayer which applies the conductive liquid. On the back you will find a 3-mounted system which is attached to the PTO, and there we apply the energy onto the plant. It just attaches to your current tractor, so that makes things very easy for farmers. They can use it like glyphosate, it just burn down their cover crops. The industry is looking for alternatives, non-selective burn down herbicides, and our Crop Zone solution is a platform which allows farmers an economically viable way to treat weeds, but also the solution can be used in organic farming. The goal is to combine sustainability with cost saving in the inputs. If we spray tons of synthetic herbicides, it's very likely that the health and the quality of the soil is degrading, and we see that in research. If a farmer uses our system, they can desiccate crops without a synthetic herbicide. They can also prepare their soil without plowing. That allows them to use less input in their farm. And using less input on the farm means that you're acting more sustainable. That allows farmers to really work on a better soil quality, and that's what they need to increase their yield. Sustainability in the end will help to feed a growing population, but it also allows us to leave a planet to our kids which still has those resources.
It was a pleasure having Dirk in the studio to learn about this exciting new technology. And we did have some fun with the metric system, to be sure, as some of us still struggle with that. His commitment to the future of farming sure was evident. You can see the full episode with Dirk as well as the other episodes at farmnext.com. And there you can enter to win a VIP package to the Farm Progress Show coming up at Boone, Iowa. That's August 30th and 31st and September 1st. The next company in our special edition episode of Farm Next is Plains Technologies. That's a startup based in Nebraska that has developed an autonomous robotic platform to help growers plant cover crops during harvest and to do much more. Here's a short video about that company from the field.
Farmers have a very difficult job. They're in charge of 100 different things on any given day, so we want to simplify some of the things they do.
Talking to some collaborating producers, we found that producers really run out of time during the harvest season. Some of them quoted like, hey, if you have a robotic system that can follow our combine and do cover crop seeding, that will be a really nice system. Then we don't have to think about how to find additional labor during busy seasons.
We are hoping to improve nitrogen inputs into the soil, and we plan to attack that problem with our autonomous robot here. So that might include following a combine through after it's gone and harvested, let's say a corn crop, something that leaches nitrogen from the soil. We can dump certain legume cover crops into the ground, which will improve the soil health for the next year.
Right now, cover crop seeding is done by broadcasting the seed, and with that, the problem is you don't have an effective seed to soil contact. So that's why if you have a robotic system that can actually precisely drill the cover crop, you will have a really good success. I think the biggest value is the timeliness of operation, especially for cover crop seeding. You really have very short time windows before it gets very cold. The machine can run 24/7 and do its thing with minimal supervision.
It's not just specific to one function. We want it to be able to accomplish any number of tasks that a farmer might interact with.
Over the last 10-15 years, we have seen GPS used in farming. Today, farmers give AB lines and your tractors follow the AB lines, it's an auto steer, but why not go to the next step, right? Why not remove the operator from the machine so that we can free up time for the producers so they can be doing other operations.
As farming industry grew and grew and grew over the last 100 years, farm equipment got bigger and bigger and bigger. It's inefficient in some manners. Not every task on the farm needs a 600 horsepower tractor. You're trying to spray crop out there or you're trying to drag a trailer through the field, it just doesn't make sense to be using that big gas guzzler when a 50 horse equivalent of a smaller vehicle could do the same thing. And if that's not enough, we have multiple machines we could implement in the same field to achieve that same goal that your 600 horsepower tractor would be doing in the first place.
I'm very excited about how user-friendly our robotic system is. I get comments from farmers and producers that, hey, can we buy this? We want to use this because there's an internal combustion engine, there is hydraulics, and you have smarts with sensors, and these are all user-friendly and we can use it on the farm. I'm very confident about the agriculture industry adapting because we are now talking about artificial intelligence and AI and robotics in agriculture. Farmers are going to take it only if it has a return on investment. So we want to collaboratively work with farmers.
We've networked with 20 or 30 farmers. We've listened to their voices, seen what they like, seen what they don't like, and we're trying to adapt to better fit their needs. And we're just looking to grow from there.
You hear so much about robots in farming, and isn't it interesting to see one in action in the field? When Santosh and Ian were here in the studio, we enjoyed learning more about their story and how they want to help growers manage their operations more efficiently. Again, you can see the full episode from Plains Technologies as well as the other innovators at farmnext.com. farmnext.com. The next company in our special episode here is Yardstick. Now, this is a startup that has developed an efficient way to take soil carbon samples, enabling more growers to measure soil carbon accurately, instantly, and affordably. Here's a short video out in the field about that company.
Today, many farmers know that their practices can have profound effects on our ability to decarbonize agriculture. There's overwhelming evidence that the way we farm today is not sustainable. Climate change is advanced enough that we need to reduce emissions and we need to actively remove atmospheric greenhouse gases. I'm Chris Tolles, co-founder and CEO of Yardstick PBC. We're an early stage startup that's focused on measuring soil carbon. So when farmers change their farming practices, what we do is quantify the changes in soil carbon content. The conventional way of measuring soil carbon stocks today is you take a soil sample, you send it to a lab, they use a very expensive piece of equipment, and they tell you organic carbon content of your soils. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that process, it's just very difficult and very expensive. And when something's very difficult and very expensive, you don't do much of it. If this is really going to be accessible in field at scale, it needs to be something you can throw on your back. We're really proud that we've taken very, very complex sensing around spectroscopy, depth, torque, force, GPS, and packaged that in something that's handheld, battery-powered, can get out there in the field. Because that physical embodiment in a handheld format is so essential to our ability to deliver measurement services at low cost, the fact that we've put them together in that format within just a year of existing as a company is something we're quite proud of. As our probe is drilling down into the soil, we're recording a spectral movie. Inside our device, our computer is watching the movie and interpreting that movie to then show you the number. Hey, my soil is 3.2% organic carbon, and it's the number that you really care about at the end of the day. If you are growing way lower carbon intensity grain, it's gonna get mixed in with your neighbor's grain that may be way worse. So how is it possible for you to be rewarded for your better practices if your stuff goes in the same silo as the other person's stuff? What we're trying to do is make it easy for a farmer to defend their claims that their farming practices are having positive climate impact. One of the things that's most exciting to us about soil carbon is that even if you don't believe in climate change, you absolutely believe in soil health. As soils function poorly, they produce less. And when they produce less, you make less. That's existential for many farmers. That's the agricultural productivity of our country. That's our ability to feed ourselves and support ourselves. And I think everybody would agree that that's absolutely something worth investing in. If we're gonna have more than another 40 harvests, we have to address soil health. And soil health and soil carbon align very, very well. The big goals are to transform agriculture from a net source of emissions to a net solution to emissions. There's a future in which agriculture could be a net remover of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. We're a long ways from that, but that's a big, inspiring goal that gets us excited to keep pushing Yardstick forward.
Well, we sure hear a lot about carbon farming and the carbon credits. And wasn't it great to see a farmer-friendly tool to help navigate this complex situation? It was great to hear Chris in the studio sharing his passion with us for this topic and hearing his thoughts on the critical role the farming community has in addressing climate issues. You can see that full episode with Chris, as well as all of the others, at farmnext.com. And there you can enter to win that VIP package to join us at the Farm Progress Show in Boone. That'll be August 30th through September 1st at Boone, Iowa. All that and more at farmnext.com. The next company in our special edition episode of Farm Next is Verge Ag. Now, this is a startup that has developed a digital tool to help farmers manage their land and equipment. By focusing on the cohesive movement of equipment in the field, Verge Ag is helping farmers run more sustainable and profitable operations. Here's a short video about Verge Ag from the field.
I'm Godard. I'm the co-founder and chief operating officer at Verge Ag. The idea for Launchpad came from working with the farmers to understand how they implement their field operations and how important is it to evaluate both field and equipment as it relates to the execution of that field operation. Right now, there isn't any software or a solution available to the farmer to really manage their land and equipment efficiently, to have some kind of control over how much inputs they're putting down or how they're traveling in the field. So we wanted to develop a solution that could really make the best use of the equipment that the farmer is purchasing. So when they're spending that much money to buy that equipment, how do we make sure that it is staying productive? Launchpad is the only interactive planning experience ever made. It allows farmers to plan, simulate, and validate the movement of their equipment and execute field operations efficiently. Our software is super simple to use. They log in, they see their field boundaries, they click, they create a plan. They want to select a bunch of fields, click that, create a plan, review it, share it with their operators. Everything is within their control. We've got controls like sliders that allow them to quickly change the direction of the equipment, and then you see the paths change. Showing a farmer their own field and showing how the equipment moves in that field. And then they're able to visualize that, and they're able to control and change the path of that equipment and see the impact it has in terms of how much time you spend in the field, how many passes you have, what's your non-working time, where are the inefficiencies. Being able to visualize that and have control to change that, we're helping them with information that they can take action on. 95% of all farm revenue goes towards some of the big expenses like seed, chem, fertilizer, and the use of equipment. 50% of all agriculture emissions come from fertilizer, fuel, and machinery use. So you've got an income crisis that's driving a climate crisis, and there needs to be a solution, which is how do we get more money in the hands of the farmer, which is really around efficiencies to improve their net income, which becomes a solution for this climate crisis. Every year there's some kind of automation technologies happening. Our goal is to allow the farmers to make the best use of that technology as it relates to their field. So step by step, we are helping them accelerate that transition to autonomous farming, that they're ready to adopt it. Looking ahead into the future, what we are most excited about is growth through market-driven innovation. We don't want to develop a software that provides value 20 years from now. We want to develop software that provides value today and impacts the farmer's life today.
As you can see, the companies on Farm Next are an impressive and diverse group of entrepreneurs. I want to remind you folks out there watching, you can vote live during the show. Whether you think each idea has what it takes, you just go to farmnext.com. There you can enter to win a VIP package to the Farm Progress Show coming up in Boone, Iowa. Yeah, write those dates down. Make plans now to attend August 30th and 31st and September 1st. Stay tuned here to see the next set of companies after these brief messages.
We're going around talking to all the farmers in Iowa because we're trying to build the ultimate farm truck.
Gosh, cab dude! Yeah, in your cab. There are over 2 million farmers in the United States. One of them is about to win some cash for their local FFA chapter.
I don't know that the public knows what they want out of sustainability.
If they're asking us to grow cover crops and to plant non-GMO, our expenses are going to go up. Yields are going to go down. At that point, we're not sustainable.
All right, so when you think of Wisconsin, what do you think of? Aside for beer and cheese and people wearing cheese while drinking beer.
You have to have nitrogen.
It's really a microcosm of one of the biggest questions that we face. Can we feed the world and save the world?
Visit pivotbio.com/originals to see these shows and more.
There are over 2 million farmers in the United States. One of them is about to win some cash for their local FFA chapter.
Gosh, cab dude!
Yeah, in your cab. They'll have 10 minutes to answer as many questions as they can, so the time is short and the stakes are high.
What Italian phrase describes pasta that is still firm after being cooked?
Al dente.
It's a nice al dente.
Let's get in the cab and see how much cash these farmers can grab.
Hey, I got an announcement for all of America's farmers. You want to win the ultimate farm truck? You got to sign up right here. And if you do, it could be you that wins it.
Welcome back here to this special edition of Farm Next, the show that gives you a front row seat into what's next in the world of agriculture. Our next company here is Salem 24/7. This is a startup based in Iowa, developing an autonomous robot for corn and soybean growers that can plant, apply nitrogen, and much more. Let's watch a video about this company.
My name is Dave Krogh, and I'm the CEO of Salem 247. Our vision is to bring small, efficient machines to agriculture. On our family farm up near Eagle Grove, Iowa, a lot of our corn was flat on the ground. The agronomist came out and he basically said our problem was soil compaction. A typical tractor pulling, say, a 24-row planter would probably weigh about 32 to 36,000 pounds. The soil compaction is pretty significant under a tractor that big. The yield reduction from soil compaction is probably in the 10 to 20% range, and we think with small equipment we can help farmers increase their yields and make more money. Our prototype is an autonomous planter, so we have a motor on each track powered by a battery. We believe in renewable energy, so we're electric, but we actually charge our batteries with 100% biodiesel. The pressure under our tracks is about 1 pound per square inch. The idea is that the farmer wouldn't give up their big, say, 24-row planter for a 4-row planter. What they would have is 6 4-row planters or 4 6-row planters, so they would have multiple planters in the field working at one time. We're breaking big machines into little machines and increasing yields. We can get the job done in the same amount of time that they're doing today, or if not quicker. We can run 24 hours a day. We can use it for planting, we can use it for spraying, we can use it for side dressings. We can use it for a number of different operations in the field, not just planting. Farmers have told us that we can get in the field a lot quicker for things like post-emerge spraying and side dressing nitrogen. We could get in a field and spray 5 minutes after a heavy rain. That's actually very valuable to a farmer. We've talked to dozens, maybe hundreds of farmers about what we're doing, and we've incorporated a lot of their ideas already into what we're doing. The proof is in the bottom line: higher yields, lower input costs. Farmers are some of the smartest people I know business-wise. If they could see where they could even a 20% yield increase if they address soil compaction, they would pay attention to that. And there is data out there that shows that that's the case. These are all problems that can be addressed with technology and with innovation. If you see robots in the field in 20 years, you won't think twice about it. That's the future.
Oh, it was fun seeing that robot out of the field planting away. It was a pleasure having Dave in the studio, too, to talk about his exciting company. Now, you can watch that full episode featuring Dave, and you can see the other innovators at farmnext.com. Our next company up here is Phospholutions. And yeah, as you guessed it by their name, they're all about phosphorus. Phospholutions is a startup helping increase phosphorus efficiency while helping protect our natural resources. Let's take a look at this video out in the field about Phospholutions.
I'm Hunter Swisher. I'm the CEO and founder of Phospholutions. Fertilizer is expensive and very inefficient, and our whole approach is to try to maximize the use of those fertilizers to drive better farmer profitability. We started with our first product line, Rhizosorb, which we incorporate into conventional fertilizer sources to produce a higher efficiency product that delivers more of the phosphorus into the plant and less into the environment. The thing I'm most excited for about Rhizosorb is the opportunity to return more of those dollars into the farmer's pocket than down into the waterways. We use a mineral-based adsorbent that has a high surface area that allows us to bind phosphate to the surface in the soil and store it until it releases back into the solution over time. The value that our technology provides is the opportunity to improve the efficiency on the farm field to get the same yield with less inputs. Unlike nitrogen, phosphorus is a finite resource. We mine it similar to petroleum in just a few select geographies around the world, and we're running out of it at a pretty alarming rate. This is a global food security risk. About 10 to 30% of it is actually ever getting into the crop. 90% is lost from mine to fork. Pretty alarming when you think about the fact that this is the second largest nutrient needed for global food production. So for us, the focus is trying to get more of the fertilizer into the crop so that less of it needs to be applied to achieve the same productivity on an acre. We can change agriculture with Rhizosorb. We're the only proven technology on the market to be able to reduce 50% of phosphorus use. Managing phosphorus more efficiently isn't just better for the bottom line, but it also has the potential to improve soil health as well as plant growth. We've seen with our product we can increase water use efficiency, promote better root development, and a long other list of plant growth benefits. We've been very fortunate to be able to get our technology out into the hands of the farmers over the last few years, testing this in some very academic settings, but also in some real-life commercial trials, and we're on track to launch this product in spring of 2023. Phosphorus is an industry primed for innovation, and we've been working on this for over 30 years. We can improve profitability and make farming more sustainable with Rhizosorb. I think the farmers are looking for solutions, and I think the farmers are willing to take on new solutions, and I think there's a huge appetite for agricultural technologies like ours.
I hope you can tell how much we enjoyed visiting with these innovators, people like Hunter as they came into the studio with us. They're outstanding people. They have an exciting future and a technology that could make a real difference on farms across the country. Again, you can see that full episode with Hunter, and you can see all of the others at farmnext.com. Well, the last company in our special episode here of Farm Next is Grain Weevil. You may have heard about these guys, a startup based in Nebraska that has developed a robot that can help growers manage their grain bin storage. The robot keeps growers out of the bin and protects their profits at the same time. Let's watch this video about Grain Weevil.
When we store grain on the farms, it takes a lot of work to actually maintain that. Think about these grain bins behind me as piggy banks, and they're full of $40,000 $10 bills right now, and you want to take care of those. And that's what our robot does. Grain Weevil is a grain bin safety and management robot that's designed to protect people and their profit, and we do that by controlling risks and controlling costs and controlling the quality of stored grain. Airflow uniformity is the key to a quality grain bin. We can operate while you're filling it up, but it runs on the surface of the grain and it agitates the grain and it uses gravity to move the grain. And we prepare that layer so that each layer on top of it allows the maximum airflow. From start to finish, we do all of the best practices that research has shown to maintain quality of the grain. The robot can do those things.
When farmers are loading the bin, some like to level the bin once it's done to get uniform airflow through the grain. And that takes 8 hours of shoveling right now, give or take based on the size of the bin. And our robot can do that completely autonomously and take that job away from the farmer that nobody wants to do.
Grain quality makes a big impact on safety. If the grain starts to go bad, the grain won't flow out, so people often go in with poles and they try to break that up and get it to go, and that'll either collapse on them or someone who's helping them turns on the auger system, and if they turn on the auger system and you're inside, you're buried in like 4 seconds.
Every time I go to an event, I hear stories from family members that either lost someone or someone got hurt, and it really does take a toll. That's where I got my passion, is from hearing those stories and wanting to help people. Using our robot on the farm will keep people out of the bins and keep them safe, and we will save lives with our robot.
Driving the robot today, someone's using the joystick to drive it. When we get ready to release it to the public, you'll open up the phone app and say level bin 2, and then go watch a football game. The robot will take care of all of that itself.
We know for it to be adopted and to keep people out of bins, it has to be easier than picking up a shovel and actually scooping. If we can prove that we can save you 5 cents a bushel on the losses you get when you take it to the elevator, then we can prove that it's helping your margin. Hundreds of farmers just want to reach out and tell us their stories and help us develop our product because they're ready to adopt it. If they can see that it's going to impact their bottom line or impact their well-being, they're like, bring it on. This technology is not going to replace farmers, but it's going to give the family farms the ability to compete on a global scale. And that's part of why I'm so excited, because if we can give the right tools to the small family farms, they're going to be successful.
Ah, what a cool machine that is. And an innovative way to get rid of a thankless chore while improving farmer safety. When Chad and Ben were in the studio, you could tell how much helping their neighbor and helping the farm community is a vital part of their mission. You can see that full episode with Chad and Ben, as well as the other episodes, at farmnext.com, farmnext.com. Well, I sure hope you enjoyed our review of the different companies featured on this season of Farm Next. And I want to remind you to vote live during the show here, whether you think each idea has what it takes. You go to farmnext.com to do that, and you go there as well to enter to win that VIP package to the Farm Progress Show coming up in Boone. That's August 30th through September 1st, coming up soon. Again, that's farmnext.com for the chance to win that VIP package to the Farm Progress Show. Well, up next is my interview with Pivot Bio CEO Karsten Temme. We'll talk about the inspiration behind the show and how products like Pivot Bios will continue to make a positive impact on farms across the country. Stay tuned.
So what we're doing, Dan, is we're going around talking to all the farmers in Iowa because we're trying to build the ultimate farm truck. What is the best truck for
Let's
you?
see what you guys are rolling with right now.
Lights are critical.
Flatbed.
Toolboxes.
You know, workbench height.
These guys need a truck that's ready to work, has power, can get dirty. Follow us as we design, build, and give away the ultimate farm truck.
The United States of America can be very different from one state to another, but one thing every state has in common is agriculture. And the farms across America are like the patchwork of a quilt that binds our nation together, and each state is represented in their own unique way.
Hey everyone, I'm Charlie Behrens, and welcome to Agricultural States of America. We're going to test your knowledge about the agriculture of different states and hopefully give you a bit more appreciation for the great things farmers are producing across the country. Today we're starting off with my home state and America's dairyland, Wisconsin. All right, so when you think of Wisconsin, what do you think of? Aside from beer and cheese and people wearing cheese while drinking beer. How about cranberries? Now, believe it or not, Wisconsin is the top producer of cranberries in the United States. In fact, the cranberry is native to Wisconsin, and it's the state's leading crop in terms of acreage and value. All right, you can always go to pivotbio.com/originals and explore more agriculture from your favorite states and test your knowledge to win great prizes and more.
We have a treat for you now because sitting next to me is yet another inventor and entrepreneur. Karsten Temme, CEO and co-founder of Pivot Bio. Karsten, this series was your idea. What was the motivation behind this?
Well, at Pivot, we're simply trying to solve big problems that growers face. And we are inspired to take an idea, turn it into a solution. And it's been a pleasure to be able to connect with other entrepreneurs that are on that same journey. So I think the goal for us is to try to identify some of those great ideas and help foster their path to being a solution that helps growers everywhere.
You might have heard me say sometime, the nitrogen-producing microbes that stay put, whether or not. It's been a great source of pride for me to help share your story, but so many times as I've been sitting at the microphone, I've wondered, how did it all begin? Where did this whole concept come from?
Well, for me, the story started about 15 years ago in graduate school. And my co-founder, Alvin Tamzier, and I had an idea, and that idea has turned into Pivot Bio. You see, for the last 115 years, we've been able to fuel the nutrient needs of our crops with nitrogen fertilizer. And it's gotten us to where we are today. And now there's an opportunity to take a step forward to something that's even better. And that's to look to microbes to be able to breathe in the air around us and turn that nitrogen gas into ammonia, and more consistently, in a more dependable and a more profitable way, put nitrogen into a crop. And we had some great help from investors and an expanding team to be able to get that in the hands of early adopters. And those growers helped us put a concept through its paces and turn it into a true product. Over the last 5 years, we've been able to scale a business and really serve thousands of growers on millions of acres here across the U.S.
Talk about that benefit to the growers. Why are they drawn to the product, for those who might be watching and aren't familiar with it?
Well, it's all about nitrogen. That's Pivot's mission through and through, is to be able to deliver a better performing nitrogen to growers. Ultimately, it's about the bottom line. So it's making sure that more of that nitrogen that is purchased ends up in the crop. Too much of fertilizer today is lost to the environment before the crop can ever utilize it. And what we've built is a way for microbes to breathe in the air, turn it into ammonia, and put it directly in the plant. That means every dollar invested is turning directly into something that fuels harvest.
I was reflecting back, visiting with a friend the other day, and I said the environmental sensitivity and understanding of our need to care for the environment, they've never been greater. And this is an important point to producers, is it not, the environmental benefits you're bringing forward?
Well, it's a perfect time to be able to focus on that topic. The ability to get to where we are today, we've built such a phenomenal system for being able to grow and produce. And it's on the back of nitrogen fertilizer. It's the fuel that makes everything possible. The challenge is it's inefficient. So globally, about half of fertilizer is lost to the environment before the crop can get it. And that's just a byproduct of that's the best way to get nitrogen into a crop until now. And so with what Pivot does is we just build products that put all of that nitrogen directly into the crop. And it means we can eliminate nitrogen runoff, we can eliminate nitrous oxide emissions, all those ways that fertilizer might degrade and get lost before a crop can get it.
And there isn't just the environmental benefit, but an economic one as well.
That's right. So it's consistent nitrogen directly in the crop. It means that every dollar, it's there in the crop when you need it. And that matters a lot, especially in today's environment when commodity prices are sky high for prices for fertilizer, when we have the uncertainty of supply chains and the availability of fertilizer. We just want to make sure that we are a dependable and consistent source of nitrogen for the crop.
Thank you, Karsten. We appreciate it. And we thank you folks for tuning in to this special edition of Farm Next. I want to remind you, you can vote whether you think each idea has what it takes by going to farmnext.com. And don't forget, while you're on the site, enter to win a VIP package to the Farm Progress Show coming up in Boone, August 30th and 31st and September 1st. Again, that's farmnext.com. And enter to win that chance for the VIP package to take you right into the Farm Progress Show. And of course, plan to come see the Farm Next Innovation Tent. If you're at the Farm Progress Show, it'll be right behind the Pivot Bio exhibit. And you'll get a chance to meet all of the innovators we've featured this season and learn more about their exciting new technologies. We'll be in the booth doing interviews with the innovators to get their updates on progress. We look forward to seeing you at the Farm Next Innovation Tent, August 30th and 31st and September 1st at the Farm Progress Show in Boone, Iowa. To finish up tonight's program, we'll show a short documentary about Pivot Bio and their desire to make farming more predictable, sustainable, and profitable. Take a look.
Pivot Bio is changing the way we grow our food.
Every plant on this planet needs sun, water, and nitrogen.
Nitrogen is the fourth most abundant element in any living organism.
Everything the plant needs, everything the plant produces, contains nitrogen.
About 100 years ago, we had a growing population, we had the need to grow more food. We realized that by producing nitrogen fertilizer in gigantic centralized factories, we could then distribute it to all of these farms.
We've been able to feed a growing population simply because we are able to produce nitrogen and deliver it to crops.
But we're now starting to see a lot of the really detrimental effect on our environment.
It's a process entirely dependent on fossil fuels.
It consumes a huge quantity of carbon and releases that into the atmosphere just to make the nitrogen that you have in the fertilizer.
As a farmer, fertilizer can be one of the biggest headaches. Fertilizer can be both expensive and also inconsistent in performance. Only about half of the fertilizer that gets applied to a field ends up being fuel for a crop. The rest is lost to the environment.
And that can pollute the water, can even volatilize into the air and create greenhouse gas emission as well.
So we have these inherent inefficiencies that make it challenging for every farmer to generate enough food for the planet. And we can do better. Pivot Bio is a nitrogen innovator because it's a new way for us to help farmers fertilize their crops reliably. Pivot is leading the charge in being able to produce nitrogen on demand, to spoon feed it to the crop on a daily basis.
We are the pioneers of a nitrogen-producing microbe that can be delivered at scale to farmers that is providing an alternative to synthetic fertilizer.
We've built a disruptive product. It changes everything. It's in use across millions of acres today.
It's always there. It's always working. You can count on it.
I know that nitrogen is going to be there.
That's where there's a really neat play with farmers. You get to marry both the economics as a farmer and the environmental side of things.
The potential of this technology is limitless. What we're doing here can change agriculture as we know it.
Fertilizer has been the cutting-edge technology for the last 100 years. It's hit a limit. At Pivot, we've innovated the nitrogen that will power the next 100 years of agriculture.
Farm Next has been brought to you by Pivot Bio. Pivot Bio, the nitrogen that stays put, whether or not. Farm Next is produced by 22 Creative Group in association with REL Productions and has been a presentation of Farm Progress Broadcast. If you'd like more information about Farm Next, please visit pivotbio.com/farmnext.